The MCAD Co-Designer extension is created for a simple and effective collaboration between a mechanical engineer and an electrical engineer. Let's transfer this board to our mechanical engineer for further design. The whole transfer process involves pressing the push button and specifying a comment. If the mechanical engineer was not involved in your project, you can quickly invite him. Now let's switch to the mechanical engineer's role and look at the CAD, where we can open the previously pushed board. Here it is. We can correct the shape of the board for the enclosure, add mounting holes on it, and place one more connector. The PCB is presented as a usual mechanical assembly, which contains a set of components. In our case, it is the board itself and the connectors that were placed in ALTIUM Designer. The shape of the PCB can be easily changed by editing the sketch inside its component. You can create board outlines of any complexity using the tools in your MCAD. You can also place holes of any desired standard and size, using convenient and familiar tools from the mechanical engineer. In the context of device assembly, you will immediately see the result of their placement. The mechanical engineer, for his part, can change the position of any components on the board, adjusting them to the design specifics. Now, this connector does not correspond to the cutouts of the device enclosure, but the problem can be solved very quickly. In addition to moving existing components on the board, the mechanical engineer can add new models as well. In a further push, they will be converted into ALTIUM Designer components and will be placed with the appropriate footprint. After all the changes from the mechanical side are done, including the board geometry, the position of the key components, and the mounting holes, once they're fully in line with the enclosure for this future device, the mechanical engineer has finished his part of the work. He can now push the board with his comment to the electrical engineer. In the MCAD Co-Designer panel, there is notification of new changes made by the mechanical engineer. The display of each change can be seen readily on the PCB before application. In the same way, you can view all changes simultaneously and disable unnecessary ones. Once the changes are accepted, the PCB gets identical geometry and layout, and the component that has been added from the mechanical side is automatically recognized and placed on the board along with its footprint. When the PCB design is complete, the electrical engineer can push the PCB with a full layout and copper layers to the mechanical engineer for a comprehensive analysis. Let's push this board back. The mechanical engineer sees a similar notice with a comment on the corrections made, and in the same way he can accept the modified PCB. After reviewing the changes, the copper layers are displayed in the PCB assembly tree, and every single layer can be viewed and analyzed. This simplifies your design cycle with the MCAD Co-Designer.